certainly on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, I am on Facebook. There's someone desperate for somewhere to live. They want to stay where they grew up, where their family is, and they just can't find anywhere, or everything's unaffordable. Community Land Trust is a not-for-profit organisation. Some are charitable organisations like ours, and they are there for the benefit of community, to provide services, hold assets that are purely for the benefit of the community. A lot of community land trusts focus on housing. We over time have had a broader community focus, but we're standing now in our housing project that we did manage to get over lots of hurdles and provide. This is Croftmere, and that's a Cornish term from its heritage of mining roots. It's at the end of what is a housing estate run by a housing association. It was land that had been, when this estate was originally built back in the 70s, 80s, it was intended to build on, but for whatever reason they never did. Cornwall Council owned it, and so we negotiated with them that if we put housing for local people, that they would give it to us for £1.
Sort of completely changed our lives. I'm Simon Thomas, born and bred in Pendine. We were renting a little cottage locally, but it was full of damp, and I started getting poorly, and it was so bad. We went on to see if we could get a local house, but obviously the waiting list was horrendous. Now that was 12 years ago, so we sort of gave up on that idea. And then the landlady decided she wanted to sell, so we sort of had to get out. I wouldn't say luckily, but my health took a really bad turn for the worst, and we managed to go way up on the list. And actually we got it on the 12th of December, and it was the day before we had to move out. So it came like just at the perfect time. Without it, I don't know where we would have been. They offered us, I think it was 4 lanes in Reduce. My family were all local, and they were sort of helping looking after me. So it was really important for me to stay local.
We had lots of hurdles to jump to build this, and I did swear I was never going to be an amateur developer again, as I put it. But here I am. Housing need in the St Just parish, I have to consult my notes slightly. Back in 2019, there were 79 households in need of local housing. In 2024, when I updated the figures, that had gone up to 178. So in terms of the smaller homes, which is where there's the greatest need, there's just not a high housing stock, and the turnover is pretty low.
You've watched the kids sort of grow up, and now they're sort of 18, 19, 20, and you think, well, they disappeared, they've gone. The mum and dad's are here, but they've had to move away because, one, there's nowhere for them to live. You know, it's quite sad when you look at it that way.
Lefrauda Close used to, many years ago, be a children's playground. The playground was removed, and it's just a bit of concrete in the middle of a housing estate. I found out about a company that build a different way, and I thought, okay, let's talk to them and see whether building a different way without having to dig foundations, we can do something with this complicated site. So that's what made me say, all right, I'll try again, because it wasn't just repeating and building as we've always done. If we could make it work, it might be a way of showing people that there's a different way to build. What I don't want to do is play my part in helping with the housing crisis by adding to the climate crisis. So that was the other thing I was looking for, is how do we build homes that don't make the climate crisis worse. We got some council grant money to work on the feasibility, and that enabled us to just check that it was feasible to do, because bearing in mind we already had back in 2012 planning permission for Lafrauda, but then it wasn't feasible. We didn't want to go all through that again. That capacity grant enabled us to be confident enough to feel, okay, we're going to do this journey to planning again. To put in a planning application, there's a lot of surveys and reports you do, as well as obviously the drawing side of it. So there we had the early stage feasibility fund, which is a sort of a grant stroke loan. The expectation is if you go ahead and you get funding that you will pay it back, which allows the money to carry on funding projects. And earlier this year we got planning consent for 3 modular homes on that site. Because we're not a registered housing provider, we have to get a partner to go forward with it, because as a small charity we can't access one of the main sources of funding, which is Homes England, whereas a registered housing provider can. So I'm just waiting to get the costings of what it's going to be to provide these homes, and then I'm hopefully going to get a partner on board. I've got some conversations going to help us deliver them. It's 3 homes. It hopefully will be 3 households that get somewhere to live locally that wouldn't have done otherwise. But the other thing it will be doing is showing people a different way to build homes that is more sustainable, more energy efficient, keeps warm in the winter, cool in the summer, all those things that we need to do, built with materials that are sustainable. Sometimes you've got to take a risk and show others who are more out for profit that there is a different way to do it.